Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of VoC Myth Busting. I'm Darren Wake. I'm head of customer success at Customer Sure, and I'm really delighted to be joined once again by global CX consultant and expert Ian Golding. Ian, welcome.
Hi, Darren. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you again, Ian. Thank you for joining us for another episode. For those of you that haven't watched an episode before, where have you been? There's lots of episodes in the locker, so do dig out some previous episodes. But the format is very simple. We put a statement to Ian, but they're totally out of the blue. He has no idea what we're going to ask him to try and throw him about and put him on the spot a little bit. And then Ian will then ponder and discuss the topic and then say whether he believes it's a myth or not. So these are generally kind of widely held concepts or beliefs that people in the CX world may keep. So, Ian, if we're ready to go, then
Let's
I'll
go for it. Let's
throw
go
you.
for it.
Okay. Okay. Delivering a consistently good experience for my customers is going to be expensive for the organization.
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Again, people that have watched these before know that sometimes I answer myth or not instantly. Sometimes I drag it out. On this occasion, my instant reaction is myth. In fact, it's an interesting question because inconsistency is actually very expensive.
Yeah.
So it's the other way around, actually. As you know, Darren, spend a lot of time talking about random experiences. Random experiences, another way to describe that is inconsistent experiences. In other words, as a customer, you never quite know what's going to happen. And every time you interact, it's slightly different,
Yeah.
or something different might happen. You just don't know what's going to happen. The problem with inconsistency is that inconsistency leads to issues that need to be resolved, because customers don't know what's going to happen. They may have to make a complaint. They may have to contact you to find out what's going on. And every time something like that happens, it costs money. We live in a world right now where a word that I was first using in the 90s, just to confirm my age, it is now a word that I find myself using almost every day, and that word is waste. The amount of waste in organizations today is, quite frankly, astonishing. And what I mean by waste is any activity that is being done either by the customer or by the employee that actually is unnecessary. You shouldn't have to do it. And every time, for example, in a contact center, you pick up the phone.
Hey, sorry for interrupting the video, but I'll be quick. Now, is your VOC program really making an impact, or are hidden gaps really holding you back? Take our free VOC maturity assessment to get instant insights and actions to improve your VOC program. It only takes 5 minutes and you'll be closer to take your VOC program to the next level. Click the first comment to find out more. Now, let's get back to the video.
When actually it's unnecessary, you shouldn't need to. That's waste.
Yeah.
And when you factor in that we live in a world where most organizations will say that they're stretched, they haven't got enough people, haven't got enough resource. I argue that they've got more than enough people, more than enough resource. It's what those people are doing that is the issue. We may have touched on this before, Darren, but I think it's good for me to repeat it. I am a huge believer sometimes in the need for organizations to conduct time and motion studies. Time and motion studies that are not new. They were very prevalent in the 80s and 90s, asking employees to document every day what they do and how long they spend doing it, and then asking those employees to determine whether or not the things they're doing are adding value to the organization, to the customer, or not adding value. Okay. In other words, if they didn't do it, actually, it would make no difference to anyone.
Yeah.
The proportion of the time that people are working on non-value added activity, I don't have any firm facts, but I'm pretty confident is really quite surprising. I'm working with an organization at the moment who I spoke to someone last week who estimated that potentially a third of the time people were dealing with things that they shouldn't have to deal with.
Right. Well,
A third of the time.
goodness.
That is
That's
just
high.
remarkable. So, coming back to the question, is delivering consistent experiences expensive? Absolutely not. Now, will it take you a lot of effort to get to the point where the delivery of the experience becomes consistent? Maybe. But actually, the more consistent the experience becomes, the more efficient and effective the experience is. And as a result, the less it should cost you to deliver it. So it is absolutely a myth. And I'll conclude by posing this challenge to anyone that's watching this or posing this question. Do you know how much it costs your organization to deliver the end-to-end customer experience? Okay. Now, I can tell you that the answer to that is probably no. But if an organization was able to understand how much it costs them to deliver the experience today, they would have an understanding of where the unnecessary cost sits in that end-to-end journey. Unnecessary because you are repeating things over and over again, correcting the same things over and over again, and your ability to save money almost immediately will be from taking that inconsistency out. So inconsistent experiences, random experiences are incredibly expensive. And I believe that most organizations are literally throwing money down the drain because they are not preventing those inconsistencies from happening. And if they just focused on eliminating the things that go wrong in the customer journey, they could save billions.
Yeah.
So it is a myth, Darren.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ian. Some really interesting points you make there, actually. And I've worked with organizations where they've stripped a lot of cost out of the business in terms of just call volume, reducing complaint quantity, because they've looked at the root cause issues of complaints, and okay, they're doing some service recovery work to put the fires out with those customers, great. But then it was only when these organizations start to look at what's causing the issues, and then let's look at the underlying problems and put things in place to fix them, whether it's a delivery issue or a service issue or a response issue, whatever it might be. And then if they can do that, say if they even reduce that complaint volume of call volume down 5%, you can quantify that quite easily in terms of volume of calls, time, then they put a pound sign to it, then you work out what the cost saving is. So
the question is, Darren, why aren't people doing it? And the question is, or the answer, again, my opinion, is it's hard. It's hard to do because it takes time, it takes focus, it takes having the right capability to do it. The difference between the 80s and 90s and now is that organizations invested in the right capabilities, process improvement methodology, to deal with these things. The issue in 2025 is that we are so reactive, so short-term in our thinking, that businesses are actually, all they care about is financial performance, now. And actually, the fixing things, no, that takes too long. No, we just need more money. So we've become increasingly sales-led, increasingly product-led, to the detriment of this issue. So does it take time to address underlying root causes? Absolutely. But the prize is huge. And this is where I strongly believe leadership teams need to just stop and think for a second. Are you just going to chase sales, but actually the margin for those sales gets smaller and smaller and smaller? Or are you actually going to eliminate the root cause of issues so your margin starts to get bigger and bigger?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And not only is it good for the business, it's obviously good for the customer as well. And that's where you create
Long-term
this
relationships.
way you create loyalty, advocacy, fans of the brand, and then
Exactly.
cost becomes less of a factor because they might think, yes, I could get the same product elsewhere slightly cheaper, but hey, these guys, I'm going to stick with them because it's premium service. They sort problems out quickly, and then cost becomes less of a bargaining chip.
Exactly.
So, some wonderful points, Ian. Thank you for busting that
My
myth for us.
pleasure.
Um, Wonderful. So, thank you, Ian, and thank you, everyone, once again for watching and participating with the Myth Busting series. We've done quite a number of these now. So, if this is the first one that you've watched or listened to, welcome. But there's a whole heap in the library that you'll see on the Myth Busting Spotify channel or also on the Customer Show LinkedIn page. And we'll have links available to access the other content. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, other topics you'd like us to talk about in future episodes, please do put them in the chat or message me or Ian directly. Very happy to do that if you want to. And also do connect with Ian and give him a follow on LinkedIn if you are, which I can't believe you're not already, actually, but he put some wonderful stuff out and an encyclopedia of CX knowledge. So, fantastic. Thanks once again, Ian. Look
Pleasure.
forward to speaking again soon.
I look forward to the next one. Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Bye bye.